As the Nats have officially wrapped up the first half of the Major League Baseball season, would you consider that a success? And if so, why was it a success? I'll answer that after this.
You are Locked On Nationals, your daily Washington Nationals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, I'm your host, Ryan Clary. You can catch me over on Twitter at RyanClary11 and as well as our show page at LO_Nationals. For all your latest Nationals news and notes, make sure to check us out over on Twitter. And of course, while you're at it, make sure to search up Locked On Nationals wherever you get your podcasts, including over on YouTube. Again, just search Locked On Nationals. Hit that subscriber button for me as well. Later on in today's show, the home run derby was last night. The first Dodger to ever win it was Teoscar Hernandez, but I'm going to wet blanket this thing. The home run derby is still the best all-star festivity in all of sports, but way too long. You got to find a happy medium there. We'll have that for you, and an idea that I've got for the home run derby. We'll have that for you a little bit later on, but second segment of today's show, this is going to be about the first half. The first segment is going to be about the Major League team. I'm going to give you a MVP and a Cy Young for your Washington Nationals up in the majors. And then in the second segment, we've got an MVP of the farm system and a Cy Young of this Nationals farm system. And this guy winning the Cy Young is a breakout prospect in this year. And I think he's going to be a top 100 prospect any given moment. And again, it's not Brad Lord. I'll have that for you in the second segment of today's show. But we start off with looking at the Major League roster here. This episode of Locked On Nationals is brought to you by Booking.com. Booking. Yeah, the right way. The right stay can make you a fan of any city, even your rivals. So check out Booking.com for your stay today. So we get started with, was the Nationals' first half a success? Yes. Not even close. This Nationals team and where they are right now, you cannot tell me that you do not feel good about where this kind of arrow is headed right now. It is headed up. The Washington Nationals heading into this year, we were not really expecting a good team. Now, again, this team still isn't quote unquote good, but it's a lot better than what we expected. They're 44-53 right now, but even then, I think they're a lot better than what the record indicates. If you were to go into this season and ask yourself, what were the goals? We laid the goals out here right here for you on Locked On Nationals. Number one, can CJ Abrams develop? Number two, can Mackenzie Gore develop? Number three, can Jake Irvin develop? And can we have some other pieces take some steps up into 2024? The answer is an astounding yes for all three of those guys. CJ Abrams, you will see in tonight's All-Star game, he's an all-star. There's a reason why that is, by the way. And also, Mackenzie Gore, while it may not be entirely just great all the time with Mackenzie Gore, you still see as to why he's going to be a huge piece to the foundation of the Nationals for hopefully the next 6 years. And then Jake Irvin as well. Take away his last two starts, he had a sub-3 ERA. One of the better pitchers in the National League across the first half. Should have been an all-star. Again, take away his last two starts against the Mets and the Brewers, and his ERA is a sub-3. And it's a legit one, by the way. You can now actually make the case that the Nationals have a solid core right here, right now, up in the majors who will still be a part of that for your next postseason team. You look across the diamond. James Wood has made his debut and has looked pretty good doing so, by the way. CJ Abrams took that step up and is now an all-star. Mackenzie Gore looks like a front-of-the-rotation kind of guy, even with some inconsistencies here and there. Jake Irvin has similarly come out of nowhere and has now taken that step up that not many people indicated that he would. We all kind of thought that maybe this guy's going to be a 4 or 5 starter. I think at this point in time, he could be your 3 starter, and that is a pretty good thing. The Nationals have a core now. And of course, not even to mention that, the Nationals starting pitching staff this year, while, again, It's kind of fallen off a little bit since the Trevor Williams injury after he was pitching an astounding first half for the Nats, then got hurt ultimately. Josiah Gray got hurt. You have seen guys, Mitchell Parker, DJ Hers, come up through the farm system and make immediate impacts. You now have a good, solid foundation of, number one, a team that could hopefully help propel this next decade of hopeful success for the Nationals. You now have that core, and the foundation is right here already in DC. And by the way, there's still more to come. There's Dylan Cruz. There's Brady House. There's now Seaver King in the fold. Caleb Lomavita, the catcher from California, the Nationals second-round pick, or the comp pick from round 1A. You've got guys that are now on their way. It's just a matter of if/when the Nationals can do that. Because again, the Nationals, we've talked about it time and time again. The one thing that they have really struggled with is developing in-house talent. And you might be able to say that they still do struggle with that. But looking at the rotation and where it is right now, this is a healthy, solid starting rotation. And again, I say healthy, not meaning in the sense that they are literally healthy, but this is a good starting rotation at this point. And you're still missing Cade Cavalli. You're still missing Josiah Gray. And you're also still missing Trevor Williams, who was a big part of the success of the first half for the Nationals. So now going into this, you may be asking, well, where are the negatives at? The negatives, there's really only one, singular, in my opinion, that really matters. Keibert Ruiz. He has been the biggest disappointment of 2024, at least for the first half of the season. He has been. You have to call it what it is at this point. The Nationals, they took two catchers early on in the draft yesterday. Now, you don't draft for need. And again, the Nationals don't have much depth as far as catcher depth goes down in the farm system. You've got Riley Adams backing up Keibert. You've got Drew Millis, who's a very solid defensive catcher, but doesn't really do all too much at the plate once he gets up to the majors. The Nationals, they now have that depth, I think. Getting Lomavita in here, I don't think it was a mistake to have him go early on in the draft for the Nationals at number 39. I don't think that was a mistake whatsoever, in fact. You also take another kid out of Texas Tech yesterday early on in the draft. They know where they have holes, and they're going to try to fix that real quick if it's not going to be Keibert Ruiz. Keibert Ruiz, he has been the one guy, in my opinion, where that's where you could say this has been a disappointment in 2024. That's just where it has been. Now, one glowing thing about the first half is that we have discovered here together is the just outstanding starting pitching staff, as well as some good bullpen performances as well. Now, it's not really Jim Hickey, it's Sean Doolittle. What Sean Doolittle has done for this pitching staff has shown me all that I've needed to see. This should be your pitching coach going into 2025 and beyond. Number one, he calls DC home. And number two, you can't tell me that Jim Hickey all of a sudden has just clicked as a pitching coach here in DC. I've seen it in years past. You've heard the rumblings about how Jim Hickey may not be all that analytical. And again, I look back to last year on opening day in 2023, when Jim Hickey kind of laughed about analytics. And now you have Mackenzie Gore, Jake Irvin, Josiah Gray, Cade Cavalli, DJ Hers, all these young guys who came up through an analytical mindset. And you have Sean Doolittle there to kind of be that middleman. The one thing that have always kind of scared people away from the analytics of baseball was the fact that it was some nerd with a calculator that would tell you these analytics. And if you're a big league ball player, it might be a little bit tough to listen to them. But when that nerd with the calculator, quote unquote, is Sean Doolittle, someone who has done it at the major league level, and who has been an all-star, who has won a World Series, it's a little bit different. So now you have the Nationals having this pitching guru, you could say, with Sean Doolittle, and he has been a huge help to this rotation. You can't just look past that. That has been one of the golden moments of 2024, in my opinion. It's been one of the most slept on storylines, in my opinion, for this Nationals team. But going into this, I said I was going to give an MVP and a Cy Young of the first half. I think it goes without being said, the MVP is CJ Abrams. You could even look towards a Kyle Finnegan type as your MVP. He's been nails. He's now an all-star, by the way, which is awesome. But CJ Abrams has been your all-star. He has been your MVP. The offense goes as far as CJ Abrams will go. That's the way that it's been, and I think that's the way that it probably will be going forward. I think your Cy Young, got to give it to Jake Irvin. Jake Irvin, while, again, his numbers do look a little inflated after these last two starts, I'm going to believe that his first 18 starts of the season is why he's up here. This guy is legit. And really, the sky is the limit for Jake Irvin, in my opinion. And I think a lot of Nationals fans going into the season, some of you may have expected a little bit more out of Jake Irvin. I certainly was not, but nobody expected this. This guy is a legit starting pitcher who's going to be here for years to come. Jake Irvin is your Cy Young, and the MVP is obviously CJ Abrams, the alien. Thank you all for making Locked On Nats your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. Next, I'm going to tell you about the MVP, the first half for the Nationals prospects, and as well as a Cy Young winner for the Nationals prospects. Hint, it ain't Brad Lord. And it's probably not who you're thinking of. Maybe it is. I'll tell you after we tell you guys about our friends over at FanDuel. And guys, you guys know I love sports and I love them so much. I never want them to stop. But as the playoffs wind down, we get fewer games and the sports aren't sportsing like I want them to. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. Maybe tonight you want to look at the MLB All-Star game and say, our guy CJ Abrams is going to come in there. He's going to get a hit. I'm going to do that. Maybe put 2 total bases in there. Maybe it gets a double because CJ Abrams is that guy. So when you do that, head over to FanDuel.com and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel is the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Again, just head over to FanDuel.com and make the most out of your summer. Now, let me tell you guys about our very good friends over at PrizePicks. And guys, PrizePicks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members, and PrizePicks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps on PrizePicks, it's just you against the numbers. So get on the daily action with your friends and become part of the PrizePicks community today. You can win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000. And of course, PrizePicks is available in more than 30 states across the country, including California, Texas, Georgia, and of course, my home state, and maybe your home state, Virginia. So when you do that, all you have to do is download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on PrizePicks for a deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. Again, code LOCKEDONMLB on PrizePicks for a deposit match up to $100. Thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. And of course, check us out over on YouTube. Just search Locked On Nationals there. That is where you'll find the daily content of the Washington Nationals. Before we get into it, I do want to mention Kyle Finnegan being named an All-Star. This is well-deserving of him. The Nationals now have 2 All-Stars with obviously CJ Abrams, who's over at shortstop. And then now you have your closing pitcher in there with Kyle Finnegan. This is well-deserved, in my opinion. Kyle Finnegan has been that guy for the Nationals since day one. In fact, there was a time where I thought Kyle Finnegan would get the nod over CJ Abrams. And again, that's not a knock on CJ. CJ is well-deserving of it. If you look at his numbers, ESPN they were interviewing him yesterday on Baseball Tonight right before the Home Run Derby. They were raving about him and how good he's been. Again, 23 years old, doing what this kid is doing up at the majors. You should be thrilled with where CJ Abrams is today as far as his development goes. But Kyle Finnegan, one of the best closers in the National League this year. And also, by the way, Kyle Finnegan's trade price, having that all-star tag next to him, it goes up just a little bit. Keep an eye out for Kyle Finnegan. At this point in time, if you could get what the Nationals got in return for Hunter Harvey, what do you think that you could get for Kyle Finnegan, who is now an all-star closer? Maybe a team doesn't look at him as a closer, but the guy has proven that he can close games, and he does it at a pretty elite level. And also, by the way, he's an all-star now. Kyle Finnegan, watch that name to be traded at this point. I would not be surprised whatsoever to see the Nationals move off him. And again, there is no better time to trade Kyle Finnegan than now. You are an all-star. Your stock is higher than it will probably ever be. You've got the next year and a half of control left. The Nationals, if they were smart, you'd probably move off this, hopefully here this season. But congrats to Kyle Finnegan, who is an all-star, well-deserved. Kyle Finnegan, Major League Baseball all-star. So we get into it now with the MVP and the Cy Young. We start off with the most valuable player of the farm system of the first half. That goes to Dylan Crews. It could have gone to James Wood, but he's already a major leaguer. So I feel like that would have been cheating. Dylan Crews, though, let's talk about it this way. Let's have an open, honest conversation about Dylan Crews. Has he been killing the baseball? No. Has he been wildly consistent? Not really. But here's the thing about Crews. He has shown me time and time again that this guy is still going to be what we thought he would be. He's going to put the ball in play. He's not going to strike out as much, even though he is striking out at a decent clip. But again, if you're a Nationals fan, you have to feel good about Dylan Crews. You have to. This guy is getting on base at a relatively decent clip. He's hitting for a little bit of power. And again, maybe the ball isn't flying the way that we thought that it would. I'm not concerned about that. I am, in fact, not concerned whatsoever with Dylan Crews. This guy is, number one, played a lot better in center field than I thought. Number two, he is running the bases a lot better than I thought he would also. But also, number three, he's still putting the ball in play, and at some point in time, it's going to click for him. This is someone who, again, will be a foundational piece for the Nationals moving forward. He may not be what everyone was expecting, just get thrown up in the majors and make an immediate impact and maybe be an all-star in year one. I don't think that's going to be the case, and it's not going to be the case, by the way. But Dylan Crews is still a solid prospect. And again, if you kind of look around him, Dylan Crews has always been the focal point for whichever team that he's been on. Maybe outside the time that he spent with James Wood this season, but last year in Double-A, with Brady House and James Wood and Robert Hassel and all the other guys there, Yohandy Morales. Dylan Crews was the guy that you circled on a lineup card. Even then this year, with James Wood, when he got thrown up to AAA, you could have made the argument that Dylan Crews was still the guy that people are circling. This guy is a mature hitter, a mature person. This is someone who is going to be a big leaguer for 15 plus years and have a very good career. I think that's what he proved to us in 2024. Dylan Crews, while, again, the numbers aren't crazy, the exit velocities are still there. He's hitting for a little bit of pop. He's hitting a lot of guys in, 49 RBIs through his first 71 games, 22 walks, 69 strikeouts, again, across Double-A and Triple-A now. And he's putting up some solid numbers at Triple-A. Again, he has flown through the farm system. He is already at AAA. He was just drafted number 2 overall this time last year, and he's already in AAA. So again, the Nationals are flying him through. They know what they like, and they like what they see. So he gets the MVP award. The Cy Young. The Cy Young. It's not Brad Lord. It's too easy. Travis Sakura. Travis Sakura, in my opinion, he might be a top 4 prospect already in this farm system. It's not shown in the rankings, but I'm willing to bet whenever MLB.com and Baseball America redoes their rankings, Travis Sikora will likely be a top 100 prospect just from the way that he has pitched in low A. So far in the season, 11 starts, a 2.78 ERA. In that time frame as well, he's got a 0.9 whip, only allowed 0.4 home runs per 9, 3 walks per 9, 12.5 Ks per 9, and the kid's legit. Again, 26 hits in 45 and a third innings pitched, only 2 home runs allowed as well, which is astounding in my opinion through 11 starts, your first 11 starts in professional baseball. Travis Sikora is going to be a household name across many lists that you check, in my opinion. I think he could rise as soon as the next few weeks to being a top 60 prospect in all of baseball. Now, again, if he was with the Brewers or if he was with the Rays, you'd probably see them kind of lean a little bit higher. Maybe with the Nationals, listen, people do take into account for how teams develop pitching and how they look early on in their career. Like, again, if you're with the Rays or the Guardians, the teams that just generate arm after arm after arm, then I think teams would probably, or these sites would probably throw them up a little bit higher. But at this point in time, Sikora has proven one thing. This guy is a legit prospect. And now you see why the Nationals dumped a ton of money in him from the 3rd round of last year to take him away from his Texas commit. So Travis Sikora, you got a 1st-round talent in last year's draft, and he is showing it so far in 2024. That is why he gets my Cy Young award. This guy is going to be a legit starting pitcher, in my opinion, for the Nationals for hopefully for years to come. And by the way, while we're at it, promote him to high A Wilmington. The kid is ready. 11 starts, a 2.78 ERA. Throw him up in your system and get him some real competition because low A, it's too easy for him. He's way too good at this point in time. Travis Sikora, Cy Young, MVP is Dylan Cruz. Those are your first half awards for the Washington Nationals prospects. Thank you all for making Locked On Nats your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Next, let's talk about the Home Run Derby. I love the Home Run Derby, but still, one thing is for sure is that it went way too long yesterday. What is going on with that Major League Baseball? And also, I got a little bone to pick with some of the players. We'll talk about that after we tell you guys about our friends at Booking.com. So this episode of Locked On Nationals is brought to you by Booking.com. With travel, with summer travel heating up, especially travel for baseball games, it's time to explore those cities you always secretly wanted to learn more about. Yes, we're talking about your rivals' cities with hotels, bed and breakfast, vacation rentals, resorts, and so much more on Booking.com. You might just find your perfect stay, even in your baseball rival city. So maybe you head up to Wrigley Field later on to see the Nationals in Chicago, and you want to check out a solid resort, maybe for your family or just for yourself. Well, I can tell you this. You can have hotels that look over stadiums to family-friendly resorts. Booking.com has so many choices across the U.S. for your summer travel this MLB season. And of course, maybe you're going to Texas tonight and you don't have a place to stay. You could check out Booking.com right then and there. And of course, the right stay can make you a fan of any U.S. city, even in your rival city. So book today on Booking.com on the site or on the Booking.com app. Again, book today on Booking.com on the site or on the Booking.com app. Now we get back into it as the Nationals, they don't play tonight. The All-Stars play tonight. Kyle Finnegan will be pitching for the National League. CJ Abrams will be playing shortstop for the NL as well. None of them will be starters, obviously, with Kyle Finnegan, but also CJ Abrams will not be a starter. But still, CJ Abrams is an All-Star. You'll be seeing him getting at bat in tonight's game for the NL. I hope to God this guy gets a hit because, again, he has had a tremendous first half of the Nationals. He has been your all-star from day one all the way since day whatever it is today. He has been an all-star for the Nationals all season long. He deserves it. Hopefully he gets put on a pedestal tonight because, again, this kid is electric. So that is really cool. And also, hopefully, the Nationals, Kyle Finnegan, you are looking to trade him. If you remember when Matt Capps got the save back in the 2010 All-Star game, I believe, and the Nationals did flip him later on that deadline, you hope for that scenario tonight as well. I don't know if Kyle Finnegan's going to close out the game. I think that'd be a little crazy. In my opinion, I think Helsley is probably going to get it from the St. Louis Cardinals. But one thing is for sure, and at least I hope, Kyle Finnegan pitches tonight, kind of gets his name rumbling a little bit. Teams are going to start talking about him, and pundits of baseball will start talking about him as being a trade guy. That is the dream for the Nationals. Get Kyle Finnegan's trade tag up. You want to trade this guy at this deadline. Again, I know some people are saying, why trade him? He's a good closer, but still, this is what you have signed up for. You have signed up for this sort of thing. You need to move on from Kyle Finnegan if someone is going to give you a package similarly to what the Royals just gave up for Hunter Harvey. And again, it will be a lot better than what you got in return for Hunter Harvey. I can tell you that right now. So hopefully Kyle Finnegan pitches well tonight. And also hopefully CJ Abrams gets put on a pedestal because the kid deserves it. He has been one of the better shortstops in the National League in 2024, and he deserves that. Let's talk about the home run derby, though. First and foremost, that was the worst national anthem of all time. Of all time. What was that? I hate making fun of people. I think it's disrespectful. This one's pretty mean, I guess. That was awful. It's one of those things. I've always said this. Now, don't take it too literal, but I'm a funny guy, I think. I like to laugh. I like to have fun. I think the bad national anthems should be normalized. Like if the Nationals, let's say if they were to come up to me and be like, you're going to sing the national anthem. I'm a terrible singer. I can tell you that right now. I would take and I would run with it. I would have so much fun singing the national anthem. So you saw that in yesterday's game. And first and foremost, you know it wasn't the best home run derby when you're still talking about the worst national anthem of all time. And that's unfortunate for whoever that was. I don't even have the name of her. I forgot it at this point. I had never heard of her, to be honest. I know she's good. I know she's a Grammy nominee, so that's really cool. One thing I do know is that was a really bad national anthem. And it was very obvious off the bat as you saw Alec Boehm kind of chuckling amongst himself and a couple other players as well, kind of throwing in a few laughs and a few elbows. It was tough. I mean, that was the highlight of the home run derby, which is a problem, by the way, because I can tell you this right now. I don't know about you guys, but the home run derby just wasn't really the same. And I don't know if the new rules kind of affected that. I think the new rules were actually really cool. The swing off with 3 outs was like electric. And you saw that with Teoscar Hernandez and, of course, Alec Boehm and the Phillies. I'm glad Teoscar won that round because I don't want to see any Philly up there. But I think the main issue with the derby is the fact that it went on forever. I mean, it ended at what? Like 10:45 last night? Way too long. Nearly 3 hours of a home run derby. I love baseball, and I love the home run derby. It's one of my favorite events of the year. It's one of my favorite days of the year. I go out with buddies. We all watch it. It's a lot of fun. But one thing is certain here. It was way too long. 2 hours and 45 minutes. They got to find a happy medium in order to make that shorter. I don't know if that's cutting the contestants in half. I don't know if that's making it 6. I don't know what that is. I don't know what they can do to make it a little shorter. But with that dragging on so long, I don't know if people notice this, but I did. Did you guys notice how many players left the All-Star game or the home run derby last night? Please stay. It's one thing, man. You have one night. It is the All-Star celebration of baseball. It kind of takes away from what is happening a little bit when you only see Dodgers players left and you only see Bryce Harper and Trey Turner left to support their teammates. It took away a little bit of the fun, in my opinion. That wasn't that much fun considering all things here. I want to see the stars out there. I want to see Vladdy Jr.'s reactions. I want to see Name That Superstar's reaction. I want to see them all. That's some of the fun with Major League Baseball and this event. They took that away by leaving early. And again, that might be a small little nitpick thing, but I noticed that, and I think that does have a little bit of effect on the excitement there. You want to see the players going crazy. You want to have that Josh Hamilton moment back at Yankee Stadium, and we just did not have that last night. And again, maybe it's just because the home run derby just wasn't that fun yesterday, if we're just being honest. It wasn't the best one ever. There wasn't anything crazy. Again, if you were talking about the national anthem, that's not good. I can tell you that right now. So we'll see what happens. But the All-Star game is tonight. We will discuss that tomorrow's show. Let's see how our boy CJ Abrams does. And of course, Kyle Finnegan now as well. We'll catch you on the flip side. Have a good one. Go Nats.